All right, in this lesson, we're going to take a look at some of the limitations internal controls have. Just because we have internal controls doesn't mean that they're always working. So as someone who's implementing internal controls or who has to use internal controls, we must be aware of situations in which internal controls are limited based on what it actually does at the end of the day. So let's take a look at the limitations of internal controls. So by and far, internal controls are not perfect. Because the internal controls are not perfect, companies typically have a mishmash of internal controls in order to help with their control objectives. So what's the objective of internal controls? It's to safeguard these assets, for instance. Well, we're going to have a mishmash of internal controls. Now, what is a mishmash? Well, let's say we've got one set of internal controls identified by my hand, right? So we've got these things here that you can't penetrate, but every so often you can get through, right? So what about if we layer on another set of internal controls? So if we layer on another set, we might be able to get through the first control, but it's harder now to get through the second control, right? So now we have a mishmash. It's harder to get. Now I still have a hole here, so you could still see my eye. You could still get through, but we're going to put in another layer of internal controls, for instance. So now we're creating this mishmash of different internal controls, and we have that internal controls overall are helping the objective of the company for those internal controls. So we want a mishmash of internal controls because controls aren't perfect at the end of the day. Well, let's take a look at some of these other limitations. The first limitation here is that you can't control everything with an internal control. And why is that? Well, the cost of implementing internal controls may outweigh the financial benefits received from them. So what I often talk about is I talk about materiality in this example, but we'll talk a little bit about internal controls. So what is the best way for a company like Walmart to ensure that nobody steals anything? Well, they can lock everything up, right? So they can lock everything in produce, they can lock everything in the grocery aisles, they can lock up everything in electronics, they can lock up everything in home goods, and then lock up everything in the apparel department, right? But what's the cost of doing that from the benefit that they get? So for instance, would you want to really lock up a head of lettuce? Well, that head of lettuce probably costs Walmart 50 cents, right? And they sell it for $1, let's just say. And so if someone wanted to steal the head of lettuce, it would cost the company 50 cents. But if they were to put internal controls in place, it might cost them thousands and thousands of dollars, not including the time it takes an employee to actually unlock the lettuce for you and walk it to the register, right? That's a cost as well. So in order to protect 50 cents, we've got to spend, let's say, $5,000. That doesn't make sense. So although we want to try to put as much internal controls in place, we can't always do it because cost is a limiting factor. Now, why do companies like Walmart lock up all of their electronics? Because they're high valued, and the cost of doing that might be less than the benefit of losing one of those items. So if they've got a tablet like an Apple iPad locked away, that's $350. They put a cage around it. That cage costs, let's say, $250, but now they can keep 10 of these $300 tablets behind this cage there, and it's saving them from someone stealing these iPads that are worth $300. So again, we want to think about cost versus benefit. The second limitation here is internal controls does not stop human errors. Humans make mistakes. You make a mistake, I've made mistakes, and because of that, internal controls sometimes are just not effective when someone makes a mistake. So for instance, we might have internal controls that the numbers must tie together, but we start putting in different numbers and they still tie together. That doesn't mean that the numbers are right, it just means that the numbers are tied together. And because of that, an error occurs. So we often say we can't necessarily outsmart the human errors all the time. Internal control tries to do that, but it may not be as effective. So remembering that the limitation of internal controls is that humans make mistakes. They make errors, and that could slip by an internal control process or procedure at the end of the day. The number 3 limitation here for internal controls, and internal controls may not be able to stop overrides to the system or people colluding with each other to override the system. This is especially true when the parties know how the internal control works. So internal controls is effective as much as it can be, but if people start colluding, working together to override the internal controls, it doesn't help that the internal control is put into place. So we have to watch that collusion doesn't happen. Now, collusion is a little bit tougher the more people you assign to different tasks within an activity. So if the activity is to deposit a check, if we separate that into many different tasks and we put many different people, you need all of them to collude in order for them to steal the check, for instance. So it's a little bit tough to do that, but we want to avoid collusion at the end of the day. So internal controls doesn't avoid collusion or someone overriding the system because they literally have the ability to do that. So what do companies need to do? Well, companies should be aware of the limitations of internal controls and how they can overcome those shortfalls in their development of the company's control. So as companies are putting internal controls in place, they have to be made aware of the limitations and how they can effectively reduce the risk that those limitations are going to cost them at the end of the day. So we talked about maybe putting multiple internal controls in place to reduce the ability for those internal controls to fail and someone to be able to steal something from the company. We might need to break down an activity into many different parts and then assign different people to those many different parts in order to make sure that people can't collude. It's easier to collude with 2 people than it is with 10 people, right? So if we have 10 people on this activity with different tasks associated with the activity, it's hard for all 10 of them to actually collude together, okay? So companies need to be made aware of these limitations because they can usually try to find ways to reduce the risk that their internal controls won't work. So that is our discussion here on the limitations of internal controls. We talked about some of the ways that internal controls just can't beat itself at the end of the day and how we could think about them when it comes to putting internal controls in place in our company. So hope you enjoyed this lesson and we'll see you in the next video. Hey guys, it is Patrick. Don't forget to press the like button and share this video with someone who could get a lot of use from watching this lesson, like maybe a classmate or maybe a friend or maybe just a parent, just because you wanted to share this video because you're very excited about what you saw. Share it with someone. And if you want to help us grow and help us make sure that we put the very best in accounting topics out on YouTube, make sure you press the subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. That way you're alerted every time we post videos to this channel. Now, I do this with every one of my classes at the end of class. What did you learn from this lesson? Put that in the comment section below and I'll respond to you on what you got out of this video. So hope you enjoyed this video and we will see you in the next lesson.